It's Chris, host of The Heart of the Story. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to another episode. We've got a special guest in the building via virtual. He is in Oklahoma, and his name is Daniel. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor, dude. I've seen some of your stuff online, but we've never actually connected or talked before.
Yeah,
So
first
this is
time. I'm
awesome,
excited.
dude. So let's talk about it, man. Let's start in the beginning, dude. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in San Diego, lived there until I was 10. My dad was a FBI agent there. And so when he retired, we moved up to Utah, actually. So I'm pretty much from Utah through and through, and grew up in the mountains, as they say. But yeah, past few years moved to Fort Worth, Texas. I'm up here in Oklahoma, just traveling, but I live in Fort Worth now, and love the people there, love the culture there. So
That's awesome, dude. What part of San Diego were you in, and what part of Utah were you in?
do you know like Poway?
I know Poway pretty well too. So I'm from Southern California myself,
Oh, perfect.
and then I lived in Utah for just about 6 years.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
and my
Perfect.
mom was actually born and raised in Utah,
Oh,
so
okay. Awesome.
I know the Utah world pretty well.
Yeah,
So
it is its own world, isn't it?
it's its own bubble, and the people who live there don't realize they're in their own little bubble
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah. No,
But
I was in Poway, and then we moved up to Cedar Hills, Utah. So in Utah County.
Cedar Hills is a really nice spot. Did you go to Lone Peak?
Yeah. Graduated Lone Peak 2013.
Do you know Caden Clough, Grant Lyman,
Yeah, I know both those guys.
Framp Daddy?
Yeah, I know. Let's see, Kate and I think those guys are just a year younger than me, but yeah, I knew them pretty well.
Dude, love those boys.
Oh,
I
awesome.
was I was their home teacher
No kidding. Okay,
we were
cool.
living in Provo. They
Uh-huh.
were in we were Provo South Campus, and they were in my ward. They lived like, I don't know, like right next to me. I spent a lot of time with those dudes.
That's
Some good
awesome.
dudes.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and I think those guys like ran the Provo scene, so they
Dude,
everyone knew them in Provo, I feel like.
no lie, everyone did. Dude, they threw a epic, um, like a super epic block party one time during the summer. This would have been back in, gosh, 2017.
Okay, yeah.
Epic block party. What was that? I'm trying to remind myself of the street stuff. Like 500 North, 400 East, 400 East, like at the hard corner. There's like an apartment complex across the street, like one of those big ones that everyone out there knows. And dude, we threw a freaking epic block party.
Nice.
They got one of those like inflatable slides that went up like 20 feet, and you could just like slide down, and the cops got called to shut it down. And oh
That's
yeah,
about
that
as
was
rowdy as it's gonna get in Provo, but hey, like every town has got its party scene, and Provo's has just got blow up slides and
I mean, that's what we did, but typically we'd go to like Fuego Fridays. That was our
that's right.
mainstay.
Yep.
That was our mainstay.
Yeah.
Good times, dude. I love that you know those boys. So I know all those boys, all their friends. But it's a pretty large friend group.
Mm.
Um, I knew all of them. They had like 8 of them in that house, 7 of them in that house,
Oh, okay.
and then a bunch of other buddies that would roll through, like Yoli Childs and TJ Haas and Emery and all those boys. They'd all kind of run through and flow through. That's dope. So did you go to BYU after
Yeah.
uh
Mhm.
you went to
Yep.
BYU?
Yeah, I went to UVU, played lacrosse there for 2 years, and then transferred to BYU. And I got married at the same time that I transferred, so didn't play lacrosse at BYU. I was just a married working student. I didn't want to tack on athlete at the same time, but yeah, graduated BYU, the entrepreneurial management program at the Marriott School, and yeah, so it was good. Even though I graduated from BYU, I wasn't. I graduated in 2021, So it was kind of too bad that my last 2 years of college, kind of when like the culmination of all of your hard work gets, I get into the program at the school that I want. I'm so excited, and then COVID just totally restricted us from like actually enjoying being at the business school, and so it was really too bad. I already wasn't a huge like I went to school because I wanted a degree, and I did learn quite a lot of great things, but at the same time, doing summer sales and pursuing I guess not a career, but pursuing a path of entrepreneurship. I knew school wasn't like incredibly mandatory. And so, but I was really excited for the connections I could make there. So when all of a sudden I kind of couldn't, the connections I could make was completely limited from not being able to see anybody in person. That just, oh man, I was ready to get out of there. So yeah, my college wasn't like I don't know when especially people from who are not from Utah think about college. My college path was nothing like what people imagine college. I wasn't on campus too often. I'd show up, do classes, and I'd leave. Uh, but still had a great college time, but it just wasn't like what most people envision.
Dope. Dope. Dude, what got you into lacrosse?
Yeah, just in high school. I played a lot of hey, hold up. Yeah, I played a lot of golf and basketball, and Lone Peak was really amazing in both of those two sports. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to play basketball in high school. I'm not going to play golf because they won state, I think, all 3 years that I was there in both of those sports. But yeah, needed a sport. So my buddies was playing lacrosse and picked it up and had a lot of fun with it. Was pretty good at it and kept going with it.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. So what did you, I mean, you also, your Poway days, that's a pretty good spot too. Going into it, um, what was the culture shock like for you being 10 years old, going from Poway, SoCal vibes up to Utah at first? Did you have family in Utah, or like what prompted the
Yeah.
move to go to Utah?
Yeah. My dad wanted, that's why we moved back up to Utah, is because my dad wanted to be closer to family. And honestly, also didn't, no disrespect to anyone who goes to school in California, but he just didn't want my sister and I at the time to be going to school there. Um, yeah, we FBI agents, they don't make a whole bunch of money. I know that the TV series and stuff glorify FBI agents to make them seem like this amazing thing, and that they probably make a lot of money, but that's actually not how it works. They work really hard and just get paid okay. So yeah, at Poway, my dad was doing good. We had a comfortable living, but it wasn't, I wasn't going to like the best schools or anything like that. California's expensive to live in. And so, yeah, I actually got in a whole bunch of like fights and stuff. And just, w- let's just say this. I consider myself extremely blessed, but at the same time, I could absolutely see why my parents wanted to like move to Utah. Because when we moved to Utah, we were in a very much like comfortable environment, really good neighborhood. School systems were phenomenal. So for me, I just remember moving into my new house, and literally that night that we moved in, a whole bunch of kids came over and knocked on the front door, and my age, and they're like, "Hey, we saw that like the new kid in this house was young. Does he want to come play night games?" And I'm like, and my parents were like, "Hey, do you want to go outside and play?" I'm like, play with who? Like what? Because in my neighborhood in San Diego, like there wasn't any kids really my age that I could just go out and play with. And so it was pretty crazy. Like first night in Utah, I go outside and I'm just running around the streets with a bunch of kids who I'd never met before, having fun. And yeah, it worked out really great. So it was it was a shock because of the welcomeness, the friendliness, and all of that. Um, but I could totally see why my parents would want to make that switch.
That's awesome, dude. What'd your dad do after he left FBI? Because I know the FBI world a little bit. My youngman's leader when I was growing up in Santa Monica was FBI, and
Mm.
he didn't really even get to choose where he was going to live. They pretty much just like
Yeah,
directed him around the country wherever he was going to go.
exactly. Yeah. And so, funny thing, my dad, he went to school for German linguistics because he served his LDS mission in Germany, and so the FBI hired him on because of his like German speaking abilities, but then they sent him to San Diego. So kind of weird how that all works out. But
That's weird.
um, let's see, your question was, what did you
What did he
after?
do
So
post FBI?
yeah, so he's so my dad is 6'8". He's really tall, big presence, and so he actually started doing public speaking. And so he would kind of do like sales through public speaking at these conventions and so forth. And in one capacity or another, he's been public speaking for like the past 10 to 15 years, no, 15 to 20 years. And yeah, now he owns his own business and still public speaks, but he owns his own business around it. So he's very entrepreneurial minded, and that's kind of where I think I picked up a lot of what my mindset's like and what I do.
That's awesome, dude. That's what makes connecting the dots now. That's kind of
Yeah.
what brought you into that world.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
that's fantastic. So are you pretty tall too then?
I'm 6'3". Yeah, I mean, pretty tall.
It's about my height. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell this seating arrangement, but yeah, it's about my height too.
Oh, nice,
That's
nice.
that's dope, dude. That's dope. So did you end up serving a mission when you weren't
Yeah.
UVU BYU?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Where'd you
just
go?
right out of high school, went out to the Czech Republic, and then came home from the Czech Republic, and then went right into playing lacrosse at UVU.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, we're probably about the same age. I graduated 2013 as well from
Oh
high
yeah,
school.
yeah, absolutely, same age.
I was born in 94.
Hmm. Yeah, I
You were
mean,
94?
I just turned 30 last month, so
Oh, yeah, I turned 30 in December. So I'm
nice.
just uh, maybe a couple months older than you,
Yeah,
by
you
like
got
a
me beat.
hair.
Yeah, you get you got me
Just
beat.
like a
But
hair,
yeah,
smallest little hair. Dope,
exactly.
dude. So then from, Czech Republic, which that's probably got a bunch of wild stories in itself, and UVU, BYU, getting married during that, right at that transfer piece.
Yeah.
Um, dude, well, first off, how did you meet your wife? Congratulations on that. That's awesome. That's
Oh
always
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. We
How'd you meet her?
so she's actually from Slovakia.
Okay.
My mission was the Czech Slovak mission, and yeah, so she. It's long story short, I slid into her DMs. But
Mm.
when I was on my mission, I met her brother briefly at one of the conferences, and I didn't. He didn't tell me that he had a really attractive sister or anything like that. We didn't even talk about it. I didn't know his family, but I met her brother and didn't think anything of it. Came home from the mission, and while I was out doing my first summer with summer sales, I was in Kentucky, and she popped up on my Instagram, and she used to have like a fitness Instagram, and the handle was like Sassy Slovak, and so I clicked on it, and yeah, it just she put BYU on there. Now it's kind of interesting because the Czechs and Slovaks who live in Utah, it's a pretty small group, so I thought I knew all of them. But me and her, because I didn't go to a whole bunch of like the activities and stuff like that they put on, and she didn't either. We just never saw each other, didn't know anything about it. So just sent her a message. I was like, "Hela, ti si opravdu ze Slovensko," and which means, "Hey, are you really from Slovakia?" And then kind of the rest is history. The cool thing about our story, though, is that I still had about 2.5, 3 weeks left in the summer. And so we just were kind of texting back and forth, but we had an attraction pretty fast. And so we actually started FaceTiming. So we kind of FaceTimed for a long time before we even met each other in person. And I think that's where a lot of our kind of chemistry came from. And we were able to talk and get to know each other really kind of on a deeper level. So, and
That's
for that
awesome, dude.
reason, one of our favorite shows is Love is Blind. It wasn't completely blind because we were FaceTiming,
By the way, I love that show.
but it
They
is
just
kind of like a we can relate a little bit with some of that stuff. So it's we binge watch that show pretty heavily.
They just had a new season come out last month.
Yeah,
It's
we haven't watched
I,
it
I
yet. We're going to.
I haven't watched it either, but I got to as well. I saw the last one they did, the one over the fall, and it's pretty good. I like that show a lot too.
Yeah,
There's some interestingness with it though, some at times with on the relationship piece where um you watch some of those relationship dynamics and you're like, this is a relationship that could definitely work, and you see it not work out, and you're like,
yeah,
and it just didn't work out because they were just not communicating and understanding each other, and that's when it gets really frustrating.
yeah, exactly. Hang on
But
one second. Let me open this for the guy.
you're good, you're good. I love this, dude. This is real and authentic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, come back.
Dude, this is the most real, raw, authentic episode we've ever done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude.
I'm loving it, dude. I'm actually freaking loving it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, tell me more about like the purpose of
yeah.
the podcast is I saw like on your Instagram you talked about how it's like why it has the name it has, but yeah, what's kind of like the driving factor behind it, and how can I help?
Yeah, dude, let's speak on it for a bit. Exactly. I love this. Then we can keep it going. So on my side, I'll give you a quick background on me and how this kind of came about.
Yeah.
So I'm Chris Schlarman, obviously, and born and raised in Santa Monica, California. For those that know where that is, it is. But for those who don't know where it is, it's kind of right in between Malibu and the LAX airport.
Hmm.
It's that beach community with the giant Ferris wheel.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
With
yeah. I know what you're talking about
with that like pier and stuff.
now.
The um epic spot growing up out there. Should not have grown up out there. Was in government subsidized housing till I was about like 10, something like that. Something about 10.
Okay.
Um, Grateful that I grew up out there though. God had a plan why I needed to grow up out there was to be able to interact with people I interacted with and be able to learn the language of money. Because the
Oh,
people in Santa Monica speak the language of money fluent.
yeah.
That is like it's actually like their native tongue. So it was amazing, incredible, kind of getting to grow up out there and learn from those people. Um, I worked at a tech company out there when I got out of high school 'cause I was gonna go on a mission. Mission changed,
Mm.
age change happened literally,
Yeah.
same as you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it happened like 2 months before my birthday, and so I was about to go on the mission. Long story short, I didn't end up going, and I ended up working at this tech company.
Yeah.
Worked there for a few years, exited out to Utah, had a nice run in Utah. We could talk more about that on another run, but I had a nice run in Utah,
Nice.
building and exiting some businesses and doing some advisory stuff and some investment stuff, and had a nice run out there. Got married to a Mesa girl and followed her back to her motherland of Mesa, Arizona,
Right.
where I'm currently living now, Mesa,
Yeah.
Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And like me on my end, working, coming from the Santa Monica world,
Yeah.
which is very Hollywood celebrity shoved down your throat.
Okay.
And then Utah, I was in that Utah bubble of tech that is going on right now. And there's a lot of really successful companies coming out of there, but there's also a very like transactional culture that's been created
Mhm.
as well
Yeah.
that can just suck the energy out of you,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. I
Just
get that.
completely suck the energy out of you. And so, from coming from that world,
Yeah. Very
right? Like
transactional, just business to business, no emotions
exactly,
or feelings.
exactly. It's all transactions. You're not really as much of a person as you are just a dollar sign or a means to the dollar sign,
Yeah.
right? So the concept of this podcast is to help people become their best, most authentic self and apply it to every aspect of their life. So I do that via, the short show format. I allow people to actually share their authentic story, and we just let tangents go wherever they're going to go. It's unfiltered. Just talk about whatever you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then we actually are going to be doing a summit pretty soon. We do various events throughout the year. Um, every we just did one last week. We're gonna be doing one in end of April, and at these events we get to connect with people face to face. And in the summit format, we're actually going to do some like breakout panels and more of that. All right, now how do we apply the authenticity to your everyday life?
Yeah.
It's just my thing that really gets me up in the
Nice.
gets
Well,
me up every
honestly,
day.
ever since COVID, people are looking to be more connected than ever. People are learning what it means to be authentic and to be vulnerable and actual build real connections with other people. It's something that's learned. It's a skill that needs to be learned. It's not something that's just given to some
Yeah.
people naturally and other people's not. Everyone has to kind of learn the skill. Sometimes people will learn how to connect with others or how to be vulnerable pretty early on because they see it in their parents or they see it in a different leader. But other people have to, listen to podcasts and they have to hear it from strangers and people they don't know in order to kind of build up those skills to be able to do it in their everyday life. And so, yeah, more podcasts like this that are promoting it is a really good thing.
100%, man. That's what we're on. I mean, to your point, there's a lot of people today that are very disconnected from each other. I mean, you see it in that show, like we were just talking about Love is Blind.
Yeah,
That show is a billboard for disconnected relationships,
yeah, absolutely.
like mega.
Mhm.
And in your world, door-to-door sales, there's a lot of disconnected relationships,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And yeah, and we see it all the time. I mean, how do you see um consciousness being something that could be inputted into the door-to-door world? I mean, it's just a numbers game in that space. How do you
Yeah,
feel like that space could get adjusted and changed?
yeah, I'd say the door-to-door industry. I've said this before, but it's um, it's lacked great leadership for a little while now. Where as the door-to-door industry was kind of uh, booming over the past, let's see, about anywhere between like the past 20 to 10 years, that was a huge boom with guys stepping up, taking really big risks, starting door-to-door companies. You have Todd Peterson, you have all these guys starting these different amazing companies, and they were phenomenal leaders. What I've seen in the past about like 5 or 6 years though is guys who got really good at being salesmen and not perfecting or not honing in on the leadership aspect of it. And they're really good at sales and that's what they can do. And then they think that those skills are going to translate directly into leading teams and to leading men,
Mm,
but it doesn't. And so, especially in the solar, I'm a part owner in a solar company. And so in the solar space right now, over the past 2 years, you have a lot of companies that are going bankrupt just left and right. And the result of that was because you had really bad leaders who are stepping up. They were teaching bad sales practices. They were teaching, I guess, zero connection, right? There's no connection between the leadership and the people underneath them. And there's no connection with the sales reps and the people that they were selling. A lot of bad loans, a lot of bad sales practices. And then a lot of leaders, frankly, the companies that went out of business, it was almost always due to leaders making poor decisions that resulted in the company failing. Especially when it came to like these loans, they take the easy route, and it almost always inevitably led to their demise. And so that's what we've been seeing. At least that's what I've noticed. But I am seeing a little bit more of a refocus over the past year or so, where the strong companies are surviving and the good leaders are thriving, and people are being attracted to them, and it is phenomenal to see. So it's kind of like the best men will rise to the top, and they'll stay there, in my opinion.
it's awesome. So where did you start selling? What was your first place you sold?
Yeah, so I sold for a security company out of Utah, a really small one. Had a terrible first summer, and then I did an episode of this recently on my podcast. But terrible summer. My first sales manager he was straight up teaching us he was trying to teach but he was teaching the team how to lie and be deceptive. I wasn't having any of it, but I was also kind of cornered. I couldn't quit. I felt like I couldn't quit. I committed to the summer, and I didn't know. Even though I grew up in Utah predominantly, I didn't know anything about like the sales space. I just followed my best friend and his brother out for the summer. So I didn't know I had options. I didn't know anything. All I knew is I committed for the summer and I had to stick it out. And so I just completely rewrote my own script. It was pretty cool because they gave us like a binder, and the binder, I still have it to this day. I looked through it the other day and I just can't believe that they actually typed up the manipulative things that they did and gave it to us to sell. So I threw that in, well, hypothetically, I threw it in the trash, metaphorically. But I just taught myself how to sell. I taught myself how I was going to approach people and how I was going to sell alarms. And I did that in Ohio and Kentucky my first summer. And then I switched over to Vivint the second summer because I realized that I liked the opportunity. I just needed a better vehicle. And I was with Vivint for 6 or 7 years. Had an amazing time there. And then when I wanted to switch to solar, I knew that I wanted to have, I wanted to be with a company where I can have kind of ownership and I can grow something to transact one day. And so I had nothing wrong with Vivint, but I left just so I could have a little more ownership and uh, start something from not the ground up, because the company I'm with already existed, but I could help grow something small to be something great.
So your company already existed when you joined?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It wasn't a very big company, but it was around, and it's been around for a while. And so myself and a bunch of other managers came over at the same time, and I've helped grow it to where it is today.
How long you been there?
3 years.
Oh, and so you right after the mission, dude, you just went right into selling.
Yeah. Yeah. I came home and I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to be doing. My buddy would just kept telling me like, dude, you got to come, you got to come. And I fought it for a few months. I just wanted to hang out and not do anything crazy. But then I was like running out of money, and it's like, okay, I gotta, but my dad helped teach me to be, independent and,
Yeah,
not to take handouts. And so I really wanted to make it on my own, and it was a great opportunity to do that.
that's awesome, dude. So the company you're in now, I mean, have you grown to like leadership?
How about, sorry, what?
Are you in leadership now at the business you're in?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We, me and a couple other co-managers, we help run the number one team in the company, and all out of Dallas Fort Worth. And yeah, it's just been a phenomenal journey so far, ups and downs. But it's fun because when I was at Vivint, things were just kind of taken care of for you, which is great for a salesman. But the reason why my kind of personal brand is sales entrepreneur is because even though I'm not like a founder of this company I'm at, and I'm majorly in a sales and management role, I still think of myself as an entrepreneur. And I think of this venture as an entrepreneurial venture because what I say and do directly impacts the business and the growth of the business. And so, um, there's salesmen and then there's sales entrepreneurs, I say.
Yeah, yeah. No, dude, by the way, I buy with everything you're saying on the entrepreneur piece. I mean, you know Reid Hoffman? He
Don't
was
know.
part of the PayPal mafia. He was the founder of LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
And he had this amazing thing. This was like a fireside chat. I think it was on Pando Daily. This was back in 13 years ago, something
Mhm.
like that. He had this amazing thing where he talked about the concept of true entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
right? Like what really is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And his big thing that he kind of pushed for was everybody needs to be an entrepreneur in their own life.
Hmm.
Entrepreneur doesn't mean you're starting a business.
Right.
Entrepreneur is a mindset.
Hmm.
It's more of a mindset than it is an actual factual of like you're starting a business.
Yeah.
Starting a business makes you a founder or a business owner. Being an entrepreneur is a mindset of being able to go big, go fast, make pivots, create, live in a mindset of creation rather than consumption.
Yeah, absolutely.
And forgive quick, don't hold grudges, don't take things personal, keep it moving always.
Yeah. No, I
Because
fully agree with that.
because the greatest entrepreneurs, you look at the greatest entrepreneurs to kind of do it on a historical level that we look at, it's how they lived. It's literally how they lived.
Yeah.
You don't grow Amazon by holding grudges against all your other little competitors. No, you
Right.
just focus on what you're doing and grow it and make it big. You don't grow Amazon by just sticking with something that's not working forever. No, you pivot quick and you allow and you accept for mistakes to be made because that's what it shows you how to make a pivot,
Yeah. No,
right?
and there's a lot of terms that have come out recently, like entrepreneur, intrapreneur, is another really cool term. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to really kind of label everybody at like where they are, like business owner, entrepreneur, intrapreneur, sales rep, and everyone's trying to put a label on it. But I like what you're saying, where listen, you don't have to have like anything physical or tangible in order to be an entrepreneur. You can have that mindset.
Yeah.
I think it comes with like a certain standard of um, practices as well, though. I mean, just having a mindset of being an entrepreneur, I love that. But at the same time, you have to, it has to show through your actions as well. And it has to, you, yeah, in order to be like, in order to call yourself an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to show it as well as think it, in my opinion.
No, no, no. We're on the same track there. When I talk about mindset, anybody who can say they have mindset, the way I know how, the best way for me to test someone's mindset is to actually look at how they're living their life.
Hmm.
Because the way you live your life is a direct reflection of your mindset,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Like instead of calling it morning routines, it's morning masteries. It's not, like getting, and the way I see people reflect how they live their life directly reflects here. So, no, dude, we're on the same page. Dude, I love this, dude. This has been an epic little conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, and I know the Vivint dudes. I did a small little tour of duty at Vivint, and
Oh, fun.
that's a that's a that's a freaking beast of an organization.
Yeah, talk
Beast.
about doing it the right way. I mean, a lot of people, they left Vivint and they tried to just they tried to uh, mimic what Vivint did. And again, without the strong leadership, people sometimes think that Vivint was just a composition of, you know, cool guys and really awesome swag and great competitions. But it's so much more than that. It was just a phenomenal group of men that stepped up as leaders. And and that's what I think a lot of people were missing when they left Vivint. They thought that they could just have a cool company with cool guys and cool swag and cool competitions. They were missing the leadership aspect of it. And over the past few years, we've definitely seen those companies fail. But the companies that were built on strong leadership and good principles and morals and ethics, those are the ones that are still here. And so it's good to see that. It's good to see the true values of good companies and good businesses rise to the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Vivint's good stuff. And yeah, you're totally right about these people who just the sales manager doesn't mean you're going to be a good owner, you know. And independently, a good salesman doesn't mean you're going to be a good sales manager, right? Like
Mhm.
certain skills don't necessarily just translate, right? Like, in
Yeah.
fact, I remember, and then real quick, we'll move forward. But I remember working at my first company. It was a tech company. I remember sitting down with like the head of the recruiting department because they were looking to try to like make a move to bring in like a head of data science
Sure.
at
Sure.
the engineering team,
Yeah.
and they were, and I was doing a bunch of research help with them on the recruiting side at the time, and what they were looking for was just like a resume. That's all they cared about, was just they were looking at the resume.
Yeah.
And I actually, and their resume was really just, they were looking for somebody that was an impressive, independent individual performer.
Mm.
And I was all like, no, you want head of data science. And I actually asked them, I was like, what's your goals for this position? And they were like, we need someone who can manage and cultivate the team and get everybody else to like rise up. And I was like, then you don't want an independent performer. You want a motivator.
Right. Yeah. You want to lead
And then I literally pointed out a dude on the floor who I'd known the dude for like 2 years at the time.
Yeah.
And I looked at that dude and I was like, he was already like a team lead. I was like, just promote him. That and they were like, why? And I was like, that's a dude that every day at lunch, you guys don't see it because you don't sit by the engineers. I sat by the engineers. When every day at lunch, when everyone looks around to say, where are we going to go? They all look at him. And I was all like, that guy right there is your motivator, because he's the dude they're already looking to follow.
Right.
For just basic small things.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I was like, they'll follow that dude into battle anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
just go grab that dude. All right, man. So real quick, last couple questions. One, how is that transition to Fort Worth from Utah? That's pretty. I mean, did you do that specifically for this company, or did you already kind of made that move with Vivint?
No, so my wife and I, our first summer together, my second summer total, was in DFW, and it was in North Fort Worth, and we absolutely loved it, loved the area, loved our time there. And I did a whole bunch of other kinds of sales. I traveled the country, going to doctors' conferences, and did sales in the off season, and in between the summers, while I was going to school still. So, with that being said, my wife and I, we've traveled the nation, and we've been to almost all of the major metropolitan areas in the United States. So we had a really good idea of what we liked and what we didn't like and where we'd want to live. And so I graduated in 2021. We do our last summer with Vivint. Unfortunately, it was just a terrible summer. Not for Vivint's fault, just the way that the market turned out. And we were trying to integrate solar with the security systems. And anyways, I started seeing that solar was going to be a really amazing opportunity. And so as I kind of pulled on that thread, I realized that if I was going to go into solar, I didn't want to stay at Vivint to do it. And so I kind of was like, well, this is the best time. I don't want to do summer sales anymore. I had a daughter. I have a 100-pound dog. I don't want to move across the country anymore. And most of my summers were spent in Texas. So I decided, you know what, we're going to move to Dallas, Fort Worth, and we're going to find a solar company, and we're going to figure it out. Well, it turns out that a lot of the other managers that I was working with at Vivint had kind of the same idea, that they wanted to do solar. They want to do it year round. And it just worked out really good that Dallas was a booming solar market. So we all just kind of joined together and moved down there. So me and me and 5 of my closest buddies and co-managers, we all live in the same neighborhood. We built houses within 2 streets of each other, and we moved there, and we didn't look back. So it was a little daunting at first, right? Just moving away from family, but it was not as worrisome because we had all of our huge friend group that was moving with us, and our kids played together and everything. So it was it made it a lot easier.
Dude, that's dope. Moving out with all your homies. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Shout out to all that. Last question we always ask anybody who comes on the show, is highlight something. Could be a person, place, thing, idea, concept. Have people highlight all kinds of things, my dude. So what's on the brain? What's on the mind? What's on the heart?
I'm reading a book called Conversations with God right now. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Yeah, it's a fantastic book. And yesterday I was reading, and this has been on my mind for the past 24 hours since I read it, but the idea of, a lot of people, especially Christians, they believe that this world is like a school, right? Where we come here to learn things. And for some reason, that never really sat well with me. I thought, I'm like, man, I feel like this world is more than that. And I really love how the book talks about how our soul and who we are spiritually knows everything. And we come here to remember and to create, kind of like what you were talking about before is creating. So we come here to remember oneself and also to create oneself on a
True.
physical plane, and I just absolutely love that. So I love that. Like, yes, we learn so many amazing things while we're here, but it's bringing to our remembrance things of who we truly are, and then we're able to create something new from that. So yeah, this book is really just absolutely been changing, blowing my mind, changing my mindset on a lot of things, and really kind of opening me up to seeing this world and seeing this experience and seeing the people I interact with through a different lens. And yeah, it's, I mean, as you know, if you read that book, it's kind of hard to put into words so eloquently like they do what you learn. But it's just had an impression on me that that has been phenomenal.
Dude, I love this, dude. We're definitely gonna have to do a follow-up. We're definitely gonna have to talk offline some
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Books that I recommend for you, I don't know if you know them, is Surrender Experiment
I've heard of
by
that one.
Michael Singer,
Mhm.
The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
That's on the list. Yeah,
Go read both those. That will go along directly with everything you're talking about. I think there's a
nice.
lot of synergies. And then Conquering the Chaos by Clayton Mast.
Ooh, that sounds like a good one.
Conquering the
Okay.
Chaos.
Mm.
Um, dude, we were created by the creator in the image of the creator to become creators.
Mhm. To create, yeah, absolutely.
And that soul, that spirit that is in us is the direct power of God that's been put in us.
Yeah,
And it is
yeah,
powerful stuff.
it really is, and it really just kind of helps you understand like the opportunity that you have, you know, when you're made from the same stuff, right, as
100%.
the creator. So, yeah, I love podcasts like this because it helps promote people to step into, you know, being their highest and best self.
Let's do it, dude. I love it. One day at a time. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. This has been amazing. It's been epic. It's great to meet you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate you. All right. Thank you.
There we go.